Welcome to week 2 of our Esther adventure. We'll begin where we do, with some listening and a little bit of practice. As I like to do, as we have now studied a few of these, I'll chant the ones that we haven't studied together. And since there's just two of you, we'll do it twice, and I'll invite one of you to fill in the blanks each time. So I guess we'll need someone to fill in Mercha Tipcha, Munach et Nachta, Darga Tevir, and Mercha Siluk, and of course the reiteration of Mercha Tipcha. I will risk redundancy.
Mm-hmm.
So who would like to brave it first to be my partner here?
Since Becky's eating, I'll try. I can't promise you I remember everything, so feel
That's
free to
okay.
coax me along.
Okay, I will. All right, here we go. Mapach pashto munach zakef.
Mercha Tipcha, Munach et Nachta.
Kadma v'geresh munach revia.
Darga Tevir. Mercha Tipcha, Mercha Siluk.
Very nice. And I've just remembered that I need to turn on my original sound, so I just did that. Sorry if what I sang was a little choppy. Good, yeah, no problem. Becky, are you ready to take a swipe at that?
Yes.
Okay. Mapach pashto munach zakeh.
Mercha. Wait a minute. Mercha tipcha. Munach et nachta.
Hadma v'geresh munach revia.
Daga tavir. Mercha tipcha. Mercha siluk. That's not right. I can't remember it.
All right, so let's rewind a little bit. Darga tevir was almost in the pocket. I think it was a little bit Torah-ish for the tevir.
Mm.
Darga tevir. This tevir just has more notes
Yes.
than I think any other one.
Daga tavir.
And it ends in this weird place.
Yes, it does.
It's
The
like a really suspense.
V. That's what I left out. Okay.
That's it. It because it's a very tense note. There's a lot of suspense in that. We are not anywhere near home base. We're at actually we're at the leading tone to the tonic, right? It's
Mm.
like the game that young Wolfgang Amadeus's papa used to play with him to get him out of bed in the morning, as the Midrash says. He
Mhm.
would play on the piano, or what it's probably a harpsichord when he was a boy. Ba 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 ba.
Ah!
Exactly. He couldn't stand it, so he would run down the stairs. Boom! So that's what happens in that tevir. Tevir. You want ah, but no, tevir. Mercha tipcha. Mercha silu.
Mercha tipcha. Mercha siluk.
Yeah, there it is. Good. Tov me'od, kulan. Oh, I love that. Kulan, n. In this crowd.
Forgotten.
All right. So,
Why why the N and not M?
because we are all female identified.
Uh, okay.
Yeah. And amazingly, if we had one male identified person with us, it would be kulam, but it's kulan.
Thank you for
Sure
clarifying.
thing. Um, so we're going to enter Zakef land today. Zakef being our second most powerful level of disjunctive after Etnachta and Siluk, which are first level disjunctives. Um, Zakef is a second level disjunctive. It's very strong. And we're going to pick up with our big Zakef, Zakef Gadol. Zakef! And that is very powerful. It ends on a tonic, ends at home base. It's like breaks on. Zakef! And I'll do it one more time, so just let it sink in a little bit more. Zakef! And you can hear, if you're not a music reader, we have some notes that we're expected to linger on a little bit longer and some that move by a little quicker. Zakef. And as a reminder, in the way that Jacobson notates stuff, if we have a note head without a stem, it's because we could have 17 syllables on that note. It's a pickup note, and all the unaccented syllables will get that note. So,
I also notice it's very similar to Darga.
mm,
Darga, right?
right, it's like a dargah with an extension.
Right. With the,
Zakef.
so
Cool.
if I forget it, I can just remember that, and
Hmm.
that'll kind of get me to it, and just know it's like a Darga with a tonic resolution.
Nice. Thank you. Very cool. I love any connections, like any connection. Anyone that's like ever studied music with me
Mm-hmm.
knows that I think there's no such thing as cheating. Like anything that makes it easier, you do that.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I love all those connections. All right, so conveniently we have four examples with four different syllabic possibilities here. So why don't you each pick two? Who would like lifnei?
I'll take Lifnei.
Okay, so let's alternate. So it'll be Becky for lifnei, Sharon for bachatzar, Becky ish, and vayas Sharon. And let me know if you'd like to hear it again.
Let me give it a try.
Okay,
Oh, just a moment.
bought yourself some time.
It's just a moment.
Okay. All right. Well, you officially passed Zakef.
I figured I'd take advantage of the time.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly how that plays out in all those instances. Hmm.
A lot of adult education mark discrimination for education. They should have notes as adult education. Okay. They'll be for either $60 or $120 most of them. Okay, that's not going to help with anything. Hi, I'm sorry.
So, it's the same. I know that for you, the truth is that the whole rest of the day, no one ever comes to the door. It's like me and my dog. She'll be like dead to the world, 22 hours a day, except the 2 hours that I'm teaching. She'll like have all her tantrums that time. So far, so good.
Okay.
All right.
Your heat is not is behaving also.
I'm not in my office. I'm at home. Yeah. So now I have the dog to contend with and not the heater.
Let me try these, and I think I can probably do all four.
Okay, yeah, that'd be fine.
If I get the
Sharon's got
first
a
one right,
count.
I'll get them all.
Yep.
לפני וחצר איש ויעש.
Excellent. Yes. Good. And let's try these phrases where we then get to practice experiencing how they transition into mercha tipcha, which is what most often follows.
Can I just ask a quick question about the last word, vaya'as?
Mm-hmm.
Would we put a glottal stop on the ayin?
Yep.
Vaya'as.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Or if you were Sephardi, vayas. A little huh.
Oh.
Oh.
Yeah.
ויעש.
I've spent a lot of time working with that. It's starting to become like a thing. It actually it feels really good. It feels really good also differentiating ayin from
Mhm,
aleph. It's cool.
mhm.
Mhm.
All right, so who would like this first phrase, v'chozeh, and who would like vayavo? Okay, Sharon, v'chozeh, and Becky, you can take the vayavo phrase.
וחוזה איננו שובר לי.
Nice, good. And to just name what we heard, v'chozeh enenu, that can be a note-to-note connection in that case. So you just stay on that train. Good work. All right, and Becky, you have a little different connection to contend with here.
Let me see if I can get this. ויבוא עד לפני שהמלך. No, that's, I can't get that אתנחתא. ויבוא עד לפני שהמלך.
Almost. You got all the connections. You connected this just right. This was just fine. You had the connection here, and then you overshot the mark a little bit.
לפני שהמלך, לפני,
So ad lifnei
לפני
shad hamelech.
שהמלך.
Yeah,
It once I got the munach correct, it was right. All
yeah.
right.
You want to try it again?
Oh, od לפני שהמלך.
Yes. Yes, nachon. Good.
Mm.
All right. So now we get our Zakef Katon, and it's very much littler, and it really behaves differently. What I notice is that um, in other trope schemas, the Zakef Katon is more of like there's actually more overlapping content with the Zakef Gadol. They have like um, there's just more overlap. This one is like in a different harmony zone altogether. Um, so we have Munach, Zakef, whereas the Zakef Gadol is tonic bound. Da da. This is like bound to another scale degree. Like the Tevir, it ends on the subtonic. Da da. Zakef. And I'm gonna actually I'm going to fast forward a little bit and put it in context as to why it makes sense, especially with its friend Munach. Because usually what comes before it is, or often, ma pa pashta. And then we just go back to where we started. Munach, zakef, ba 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 ba.
Mhm.
So that's, and we're going to get there today too, into mapach and pashta. But just suddenly thought it might help to put it in that context. Like, how do we get there? That's kind of how. Munach zakef. By itself, it's just zakef. So let's do these two examples. Who would like Hamelech and who would like Hamalchut?
Becky, you
Okay,
go first.
I will. El Hamelech.
good.
Amalhu.
Great. And there's 5 of these, so I'll take the first one. And then why don't you go Sharon, Becky for the remaining 4. Asa mishte.
El Rehod. Ahasi Ha'ir.
Ben Ha'amim.
Natan Lo.
Check that again. This is could be a little misleading, but check where your accent actually is. The Trop.
Natan Lo. Is that how it
So
goes?
we're gonna drop the pickup note because we don't have a pickup syllable.
Natan
Yeah,
Lo. Is that what
sorry,
you
and
mean?
I'm here
Okay.
pointing to the Zakef music when it's Munach, but yeah. Natan lo.
Got
Exactly.
it.
Yep.
Vayomer Hamelech.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. All right.
By the way, I remembered stretchy waist today.
Nice.
Ah,
Yeah.
What's
Right.
what's today?
Wednesday, chant day. I should not wear jeans straight out of the wash. They're way too tight. I can't breathe right.
Yeah.
I'm just realizing, yes, this feels so much better today.
Today it was 10 degrees when I woke up, so
Mm.
I put on sweats. You just can't wear anything other than sweats when it's like below 25.
Oh,
It's
oh, I know.
it's supposed to be like -1 tomorrow. So much fun. Yeah.
Mm.
So here's to stretchy and loose and cozy. All right. So we're also going to visit Munach Zakef, where they're both on one word, which can happen, um, and it falls out the same way. Asarisim, etc. And then there's one for each of you. How about Becky and then Sharon?
Et She'elati.
Esharta.
Yes. Yep. I think that's Mashoratav.
A short top. I was just
Yeah.
looking at that and thinking it was,
Even
yeah,
though it's
a short
like
top.
accented for the munach, in the context of the word, it's the easier
Right,
accent.
right.
Yeah. Um, cool. And then we have Matiga Zakef. This is this little guy that we see in several guises. Looks exactly like Pashta, except when it's Pashta, it's on the tail end of the word. Looks exactly like Kadma, but when it's Kadma, it's got its own word. And basically, how we know it's Mitiga is it is in conjunction with Zakev Katon, and they share a word or word unit. Like, a word unit is for all intents and purposes a word, but they're two separate words joined by a makif.
Is Mitiga, does it have the same melody as the Kadma?
No, for 2 reasons. Probably the main reason actually is that Kadma doesn't have just one fixed melody because it's a conjunctive.
Like Munaf. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, conjunctives can have many different variations. So
Right.
they serve whatever the music of the disjunctive they are serving, whatever facilitates that.
So is this Mitigazoke?
It's not exactly the same. Mitigazake. We're gonna,
Mitigazoke.
yeah. Interestingly, well, you know, this is sort of what makes one of the things that makes Esther Esther. In other tropes, it is equivalent. It would be Mitigazake, right? But in Esther, no, it has to be special. Mitigazake, because we're drunk and so we're bound to like miss a step here and there. Mitigazake. All right. So there's four of
Mitigazoke.
these. I think Becky went first last time, right? So Sharon, Becky, Sharon, Becky.
Vetika,
Uva biza.
Umardachai. Oh, no, that was right. Umardachai.
Ve'el hayehudim.
Very nice. Yeah, very nice. Good.
It's actually very pretty.
It is very pretty. It's definitely pretty. Ay, 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 ay. Hmm. Okay. So now we're entering our Mapach Pashta world, which is very tonic oriented. And it's like, it's totally a fanfare. You know, it's completely a fanfare. When we, and Pashta being a disjunctive can stand alone. And it starts on our home base note on our tonic and just leaps up five. Pashta, Pashta.
Pashta.
All right, and let's trade off again. Becky, I think you're on first this time. Yeah.
Sure.
So Becky, Sharon, Becky, Sharon.
Bayom
Amolet
la.
es ocean.
Check the accent. This is kind of a mess, but
Yeah, I was looking at the book. Um, would it be es ocean?
yes, exactly. And the thing about Pashta, um, because it has a makom kavua, a fixed place, if the accent is elsewhere, um, we're going to get a second one, and that shows us where it is.
Oh, is that what that was? The second one on top of the two dots.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah, it's a
Okay.
mess. It's
All
really
right.
a mess.
All right. I didn't recognize that that's what that was. I
Yeah.
thought it was just two. I just thought it was. Right. Okay. Got it.
Yeah. Cool. And now we get to fill out the fanfare. Ma pa pashta. Pa-pum, pa-pum. I mean, it's so classic. Um, good. So, yep,
Bishnat shalom.
yep.
Vatehi Esther.
There she is, ladies and gentlemen.
And would we do this just he Esther, or would you do
Yes.
he
Nope.
with just the top he Esther?
Yeah, exactly.
Yenaten la.
Yes. That's the story. That is the story. Good. I have to just do a time check. This is going to be one of those classes. We might not actually go the full 2 hours, but we do have quite a lot of verses to play with at the end, so we'll see. Um,
More practice with live practice is good.
yeah, live practice is very good, so we'll do that for a while. And yeah, okay. Why don't we do one more slide and then actually we can take our break and then we'll go back to slides and into our practice round. because this is number 7. I think there's 11 total in this slide deck. Okay. All right. Then we have our funny little friend merchata, which, to review, that's what happens when you have a pashta word that only has one syllable, or if it has, I believe it also happens if you have a 2-syllable word with the first syllable accented. But that's why we only get ta when we sing it with the like proof text.
Mm-hmm.
Merchata. So it's basically an elision of a pashta over 2 words. And in this case, when we do have a single syllable pashta, it gets mercha instead of mapach. Merchata. All right, so I think Becky, you're on first.
Lo tavo od.
Vihipir pur.
Exactly. Exactly. And our kadma merchata, which we'll also see translates into kadma mapach pashta, but it's definitely very much in that gestalt of the fanfare. Kadma merchata, papam papam.
Kadmon hafata. B'shlosha sayom. Yeah.
Great. So I heard both of you,
Mumbling.
mumble through it. Yeah.
B'shlosha sayom.
Bishlosha asar yom.
Great.
It
Yeah.
does sound like it should be a fanfare. Yes.
Totally. Yep.
I
And
need a
I
drum.
I think
Uh-huh.
that is completely not accidental. I mean, it's this very. I've heard Chazan Jack describe the whole Megillah as like it's really the original Purim spiel. Because I mean, it is
Mm.
clearly farcical. It's
Mhm.
that is not a historical document,
Mhm.
um, and it is full of a lot of fanfare, kings and queens and prime ministers and feasts and plots and so on. Mapach pashta kadma merchata. So yeah.
And a lot of humor. I mean, it's so funny, and you miss that sometimes.
hmm If you look at it as a historical document, you're gonna miss it.
Mhm.
If you look
Mm-hmm.
at it as the original Purim spiel, you're gonna get it. Yeah. So I'm gonna shrink this down. I'm gonna stop the share. Before we take a little break, do you have any other questions, comments?
I'm planning to chant this in English for the congregation where I'm a student rabbi.
Great.
They would like to hear it in English.
Great.
So
Are you going to use Jack's Megillah that's in the folder?
I've heard Jack's Megillah. I will base it on his.
Okay.
There'll be a few changes, and we might kind of personalize it too, with members of the congregation.
Yeah. If you want, I would be happy to like chant a little bit of Jack's right now. Um, I heard you
Yeah,
say
I was
like
going to ask
you'd like to hear
you.
it in English.
I was
And
going to ask you if Jack's chanting is very different than what you're teaching us.
there are some differences, and I don't actually know his very
Hmm.
well. Um, so yeah. Um,
Yeah, oh, I mean, I'm going to use his translation and base it on that, but I'm going to try to stick to your or the book's chant. We'll see how well I can do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I use his text and I use the trope the way that I've learned it from here
Oh, yes. Okay.
because since it's just English, it doesn't really matter. Ooh, I'm gonna actually, Can I take a moment? Can we do our break now? And then when we come back, I'll do a little chanting. Has to do
That
with
would
the
be
job.
great.
All right, great. So I'll pause the recording. Once upon a time, in the time of Achashverosh. Now this was the Achashverosh, whose empire extended all the way from India to Ethiopia. In the 3rd year of his reign, in the capital city of Shushan, he threw a huge party for all his ministers and his chief servants, just to impress them with his fantastic wealth and greatness. The party lasted 7 full days. Everyone had all they could eat and drink from beautiful golden dishes, including some the invaders took from the holy temple. The festivities went on and on and on and on and on. And on the 7th day, when the king was pretty drunk, he called for Queen Vashti to dance before the whole crowd, dressed only in her crown. Now Vashti was no coward, but when she refused, the king's rage boiled over. Vashti was fired as queen, and banished from Shushan forever, etc.
Oh, I want to do this.
It's so much fun. And
You, do you know what never occurred to me before, but absolutely struck me now listening to you? Are you familiar with Rodgers and Hammerstein's Cinderella?
not really, no.
And Richard Rodgers was Jewish. And he was the musician. Hammerstein was the lyricist.
In my own little corner, in my own little chair.
Exactly. Don't you hear overtones of the Megillah? The
Wow.
prince is having a ball.
Wow.
Oh, clever. Yeah, there you go.
Oh
I,
my.
I, I I feel like I need to listen to that tonight because he's used Megillah trope all through Cinderella.
Wow. Well, and then there's Porgy and Bess, Gershwin.
Oh,
It ain't necessarily so. Ay, 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 ay,
yeah,
ay,
yeah,
ay,
yeah,
ay,
yeah.
ay, ay. It's just a little
Yeah.
twisted, a little bit of
Yeah.
Torah bracha twist.
Uh-huh.
Wow.
We do what we know.
Hmm.
Hmm. Well, cool.
I
And
mean, you don't hear it like in Sound of Music or what are some of the other things Rodgers and Hammerstein wrote, but I'm really thinking about it in Cinderella. And
that
Mm.
would be a like a good target for an overlay like that. That would make a lot of
Mm.
sense. It's
the
probably
prince is
not
having a ball.
accidental.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Mm, cool. Thank you.
Thank
And
you for
I'll
chanting.
note too, like couple places I stumbled, it's because I have my own version that I've scribbled on. I've actually altered the trope and even the text a little bit here and there.
Hmm.
So
Mm.
I just want to give you license to do that. You may love his, but there may be some things that you would want to tweak a little, and that's fine. Like trope in English, it doesn't adhere to the grammatical rules, and
Hmm.
so you just have to make it make sense. And there were some things that to me made a little more sense for me than how he said them. And
Also, and this is all you, your eyes and your head lolling and your body motion really, I mean, it is another layer of trope.
Hmm.
Well, that's the sacred storyteller aspect, you know? And like I don't I don't dramatize everything to that effect or in the same way, but if we're doing a farce, do a farce, you
Mhm.
know? Yeah, yeah. And I learned when I studied Baroque opera and like Baroque rhetoric, I actually, that's where I learned about the use of the eyes. Like the eyes are part of your dramatic body. They absolutely are. And we use them. You get to use them. So cool. All right, shall we go back to the tachlis of the trope? Okay. Oh, and the dog is back, so I'll just let her back in the room. Okay. Did you have fun, sweetheart? The cat is irritated that the dog is back, and all is right with the world. All right. So that's where we left off. So we'll move on. Um, so now we're still with Mapach Pashta. We're going to see how the Kadma plays out there. It behaves the same way. It's the same actual notes as it is with Merchata. Kadma, Mapach Pashta. So you just have a little bit of a wider interval there from the end of the Kadma to the beginning of the Mapach. Kadma, Mapach Pashta.
Very similar to Torah, to the weekly Torah.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Yep, it's
Come
like slightly differently oriented, but yep.
Mm-hmm.
hmm Um,
Come on.
but don't complicate it. Now you got the Torah.
Oh, yeah, I did. Right.
Ma kadma
Yeah,
ma pa pashta. All right. So Sharon,
yeah.
why don't you do it like for real?
Yavo Amelech Haman.
Yes. Yes. Good. Becky, do you want to take the next one?
Liamim ha'ele purim.
Hmm? Good. And Sharon, you finish them off here.
Vata'an
Check your accent.
Esther. Vata'an. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Vata'an Esther Amalka.
Yeah. Good.
This is the prince is having a ball.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's
It
super
is.
cool.
Uh-huh.
It is. I'm sorry. I will try to cut Cinderella out, but it's stuck in my head now.
It's connections. You know I love them. And
Mhm.
just want to remind us why it matters the placement of the accent because if it's in a different location, it could change the meaning of the word. It can change
Mm.
the
Right.
conjugation, and yeah. So, um, Tiv, Tiv. So, and I'll remind us too that Tiv is a replacement ta'am for pashta when it's only one word or a word like kacha and there's no conjunctive preceding it. So it
Yeah,
could
I
be
often
called,
see them at the beginning of a sentence. These teas.
you would because they stand instead of pashta.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's exactly where they usually fall. Sometimes you get a pashta segment in the middle of a larger thing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, a tiv will often be at the very beginning. Um, if it's a Pashto word, but it only has one syllable or two syllables with the first syllable accent and no conjunctive. That's the place of tiv in the world. So it's just basically the Pashto strong note. Tiv. Yeah.
Mhm.
So who gets al and who gets kacha? Okay.
All.
Haha.
Good word. That's like the hardest one. I don't even know how you guys did that.
Haha.
Yeah. I mean, the hard thing about it is actually, when you're doing it, you do just have to kind of pull this note out of thin air, right? Because
Mm.
it usually does start a sentence or a verse. And so but really, and singing a cappella at all, you have to pull all the notes out of thin air. So whether you're pulling ma pach pashta, you're still pulling it out of thin air. But there is something about tiv that, because it just starts at the high point, it feels more like pulling this thing out of thin air. But there it is. If you're oriented inside the whole thing, it won't be a problem. Okay. And of course, munach is another one that can precede mapach. And munach usually is the trope of choice when it's a one syllable word versus kadma,
Mhm.
which is going to be two syllables. Munach, and in this case, we just get the lower note, that tonic note. Munach, mapach, pashta. So I guess Sharon, you get the first phrase, and Becky, you get the second one.
Gam bayom hasheni.
Mhm.
Sheva ve'esrim u'me'ah.
Great. Same idea with Munach Merchata. Munach Merchata just makes for another pickup note.
Me who's there? Would there be like a separation between me and who?
Not necessarily, because they're all conjunctives, so they can flow.
Okay.
Munach machata. Mihu zeh.
Yeah, yep, that's just fine.
Yeah. Getting a little anxious about building all these and remembering them all.
Mm.
That's the Kunst. That is, and so now that we have last week's material and this week's material, as you'll see, the practice material that we have in our last slide today, there's more. Like they're longer, so you get more practice in weaving things together. So we definitely
Mm-hmm.
get to practice together today before you're unleashed into the world. And then we have our friend Talisha Ketana, which doesn't change. Thank God, that's a conjunctive that is quite stable, even across systems.
Mm.
Talisha Kadma Mapa Pashta. Mhm.
Talisha kadma mapach pashta.
Yeah. Um, so now I've lost track. I talked too much. Sharon, are you up first this time?
I don't know, but I can do it.
Okay. So
I'll
Sharon,
go.
Becky, Sharon, and Becky, if you want to reiterate the last one, totally fine also.
Okay.
I'm gonna go slow.
Great.
ונשמע פסקה המלך אשר יעשה בכל מלכותו.
Good. I'm gonna draw your attention to the Kadma word and the Kadma music. It sounded like the Pashta music, which is a leap of a fifth.
Ah,
Kadma is not so wide.
right, right. ונשמע פסקה המלך.
Yeah,
Okay.
great.
And then Asher Yaseh. Okay.
Good. Becky, the it.
ואת כל אשר גידלו המלך ואת אשר נשוא. No, I can't remember Zakef.
That's all right. And this is an interesting twist. We have two munachs in a row.
Hmm?
So how I would do this is just make this a couple more pickup notes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll just review munach zakef. And
Zakef.
so then what would happen is ve'et
ואת
asher.
אשר נישוא.
Yeah.
Or ואת אשר נישוא.
The license, license. I give you that license. Yep. That's great. So do you want to try the whole phrase again to practice that connection?
ואת כל אשר גילו המלך ואת אשר נישוא.
Nice. Nice. All right, Sharon. Asher hachilota.
אשר אכילותה לנפול לפניו. I don't remember this again.
So you're going to drop an octave. Lefanav lo.
Lo, lo to lo.
Yes. Yeah. Good. Do you want to try that one too, Becky?
Yes. אשר הכלותה לנפול לפניו לא תוכל לו.
Good. Really good. Great. Yeah, I like how every chapter is a little bit different. Like the Torah chapter has everything like spelled out in minute detail because that's like sort of the proof text and how all the principles line up. And then with the other chapters, and more as you go along, he supplies longer phrases in the like proof text because it's like, oh, you guys know how this works basically. But I like being able to do these longer phrases, you know, together more and more. Okay. So this is a really interesting one, Zarka, and this is our final like content slide before our practice round. Zarka throws us into minor. Kadma. Well, I'm gonna isolate the Zarka. Zarka. And I'm gonna do it again because that wasn't as clear as it could have been. Zarka. Yeah, it's a big tumble.
This is where the fact that I read music is a saving grace.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So why don't you each do just a zarka on the trope word zarka and just, start absorbing it. Becky, you want to go for it? I'll do it one
Sure.
more time.
Uh,
Zarka.
Zakar.
Yes.
Zarka.
Yeah, good. Very good. So we're not even in the relative minor. We're in the minor on the two. I
Yeah.
mean, this trope is like, oh my God. Um, and this one ends on the dominant of this minor
Yes.
on two, but at least we get to a cadence because then it's often followed by segol or munach segol. Munach segol. Ah, we land somewhere. Thank God. So Zarka, monach, segol. And this parenthetic note has to do with um, how many syllables we have. Like here, it's going to be lekayem alehem. We have enough syllables to accommodate 2 pickup notes. We might not always, but you can always even, it's totally an option as is illustrated here. Even if there's just 2 syllables, segol, you can use that as a model. So,
And I noticed Alechem doesn't have a munach in it, but all those notes in the munach are covered because Zarka ends on the low note, and the segol pickup note is the accented note of the munach.
yes, yep, exactly. That's a really great observation. It's sort of like a built-in elision.
So are there times where we have Zarka Gizol where you go bum ba da 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 dee da without that ba da dee da?
I don't know. And it might be just a matter of choice.
Mm-hmm.
I don't
Okay.
think I've ever done it that way, but if I'm reading this correctly, one could. You could decide to do it that way.
Yeah.
But it also just, with trope, there's a lot of like nitpicky exactitude, and then there's a lot of like, do what makes sense, please. And
Yeah.
what feels good. Yeah, yeah, da, 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 da. It feels a little funny. Da, 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 da. Somehow is more grounding.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, if you're in a trope like Esther, how much stock are we going to put in being grounded when we're drunk, right? So maybe that would be a fun thing to do. Da, 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 da. Oh, yeah. So cool question to ponder. I love it. All right, so let's have a little go round with various combinations of Zarqa and Segol with and without Munach. Um, let's see. Who wants to go first? I'm not going to pick this time because I can't remember. Becky, okay.
Hi. Lekayem alehem.
Hmm? All right, Sharon.
Really the last time, Amy.
Amor al nafsham.
Sharon, check the tail end of your Zarqa. It sounded more like Segol.
Okay. Like that.
Yeah,
Amor al nafsham.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Great. So now, sorry, I didn't get into our openers, our conjunctive stacking here. This can be preceded by munach or kadma munach. And this is where we get thrust into that minor orientation. Munach zaraka,
Ooh.
munach zaraka. So again, it feels very much out of thin air. Like we're suddenly here. How do we get here? We're on 2. We're in minor. Ah, munach zaraka. And if we have kadma, it's just kind of repetitive. Kadma munach. So this little thing is repeated. Kadma munach zarka. Munach segol.
So I'm looking at example 8-9, where you go from a zarka to a 1 syllable segol. So do you like leave out that just go na
Yes. Yes, exactly. Do you want to do that whole thing, Bishlosha, Sharon, from the beginning?
Mhm.
Okay. Bishlosha v'yasrim bo.
Great. I did miss the connector note
Oh,
of the Munach.
nadira.
Yeah,
Right. Bishlosha v'yasrim bo.
yeah, yeah. Good, good. And Becky, do you want to try the last one?
Bishlosha asayom. Oh, I left off the pickup line. No, I should leave off the pickup note for Zarka. I did it right. Never mind. Bishlosha, Bishlosha asayom bo.
Good. I'm gonna hone it for you a little bit. That you're like a little disoriented in the tone
I am.
relationships, and
Bishlosha.
you're starting a little bit low here, and which is fine. You can be in any key you want, except then you ended up being in two different keys, which then confused you.
Yes.
So, Bishlosha. So here's our ya la 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 la. That's our scale that we're dealing with now. Bishlosha asar yom bo yom bo.
Bishlosha,
Bishlosha
Bishlosha, Bishlosha Asar Yom Bo
bo. Yeah.
Bo. And
So
done
what
the
you were returning to here, da, da, instead of which actually then leaves us unsettled.
mm-hmm.
Here we come in for a landing. Da, da, ah. La 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 ay, ay.
So is there a reason why you would not do Asar Yom? You know, drop down to that Yom,
Um,
Asar Yom, instead of Asar Yom. You're
shh.
never quite getting down to
Yeah,
that.
with elision, I could have done that. I said, yeah.
Right. So the reason basically is that the music of the Munach is ya da da. That's the music of the Munach, and for whatever reason, right? There's not an elision,
No.
um, and I'm not sure why we don't elide because elisions do tend to happen between conjunctives and disjunctives,
Mm-hmm.
but it doesn't
But not
happen
with
in this
Zakar.
case. Yeah,
Okay.
and I don't have a good reason for you.
All right.
Yeah. All right. So, shall we venture forth into practice land?
Yes.
Okay.
Yom,
All right. I need to move my thumbnails here. Okay, so I can actually see the verses. And there it is, our friend Teve, right at the beginning of the verse.
Come, first, come. Yes.
So,
Sorry.
yeah, let's do what we usually do and really break it down. So we'll do ivrit, spoken, and then trope without ivrit, bli ivrit, and then we'll glue it together. And now we have full verses. So let's just split them in half. And these are about exactly half, and they're almost identical, which is kind of cool. Not completely.
Okay.
So who would like the Etnachta segment?
I'll do it.
Sharon. And then Becky, you can take the Sibuk segment.
Okay.
And All right, so let's just speak through the verse. Sharon, go ahead.
Okay. Gam Vashti Hamalka Asata Mishte Nasim. And then Becky finishes it,
Becky.
or
Yeah, Becky, finish it up.
בית המלכות אשר למלך אחשורוש.
Great. Right now, you can chant the trope just with the trope names without the Hebrew. So here's where our tonic has been. La 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 la.
go. Okay, so T Munach Katon Zakev Katon Tipcha Mecha et Nafsa.
Monach. You had the music right and the name wrong.
That's Munach, and then after
Yeah,
that
you
Nasim. That's
said
Nafsa.
Mercha.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought I said Munach. My brain, little mini stroke here. All right. Should I do that again?
No, it's okay.
Okay.
טיב זקף טיפך סילוק. Oh gosh, I can't remember which siluk is which anymore.
Chasilu.
סילוק.
Yeah, okay. Let's talk about the transition from Tiv into Zakef.
טיב זקף.
So we actually have to drop down a bit. Tiv, Zakef.
טיב זקף.
Yeah, because if we had a Munach before, it would be Tiv, Munach, Zakef.
Which is
טיב
what I have.
זקף.
Yeah. Tipcha.
טיפך סילוק.
Good. Good, good, good. All right. All right, Sharon, glue it together.
All right, I'll try it. Kam Vashti. No. Kam Vashti Hamalka Malka Asata Mishte Nasi.
בית המלכות אשר למלך אחשורוש.
Achashverosh.
אחשורוש.
Yeah,
אחשורוש.
yeah, good. It'll get there. Just takes lots
בית
of doing.
המלכות אשר למלך אחשורוש. אחשורוש. Sorry.
You're doing
Now,
great.
Asta, is it, it sounds like it should be Asta. Why isn't it Osta?
Um, let's see. Why is it?
I guess it's an exception.
Yeah,
I mean, even in spoken Hebrew, it's Asta.
yeah, I would say asta. I am not sure. It must have to do with something about the letters of the conjugation. That's usually like why a vowel would be protected.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Right, because it's not the same. My normal frame of reference for a protected vowel has to usually do with like a suffix, like
Mm-hmm.
barehu.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, not sure why. Thank you. That one's a mystery. I'm sure there's a reason, and I just don't know it.
Yeah.
Mhm. All right. Next verse, 111.
Hmm.
Um, this is a, this looks like it's
It's
half
just the
the
second
verse.
half.
It's just the C look segment. So um, let's divide it. Let's divide it after the pashta.
Okay. להראות העמים והשרים.
את יופייה כי טובה מורה היא.
פשטה
Not
מפה
pashta.
הקדמה מפה פשטה. Is that right?
Yep.
Oh, go ahead.
זקף מרחה טיפחה סילוק. God. What I'm
This is the swoopy one.
טיפחה
Uh,
סילוק.
yeah. Let's hone your mercha tipacha a little bit. Zakef. Mercha tipacha.
סילוק.
Yeah, I think that'll facilitate your siluk if that's solidified, because it is that note to note connection, the note train. Good. All right, with text.
להראות העמים והשרים.
את יופייה כי טוב כי
So note to note. Et yofia ki tova.
טובה היא.
Good.
את יופייה כי טובת מורה היא.
Mhm. I think here, in fact, you might actually get away with a tipcha siluk elision.
כי טובת
Kitovat mar'ehi.
would
Because
sound
you
much
have
better.
that
Yes.
siluk, that's where the accented syllable is.
טיפחה
And you
סילוק.
actually can, this is a case where you can, like tipcha and siluk are two disjunctives that can elide. Just because of that. It just makes more sense. That's the thing. That's that sort of common sense element of Lanin.
כי טובת מורה היא.
Yeah. Tov me'od. All right. So let's turn the tables, and we're going to put Becky on the first. It's kind of the hefty half of the verse, but so you get a couple of zakef opportunities, and Sharon, you can take the second half.
אחר הדברים האלה כשוך חמת המלך אחשורוש.
זכר את ושתי בעת אשר עשת בעת אשר נגזר עליך.
פשטה מונח זקף, זקף גדול, טיפחה מונח אתנחתה.
And can you chant that with the trope, Becky? Just the trope, no Hebrew?
I remembered what they were called. Wait a minute now.
I'm here to catch you.
All right. פשטה
Pashta.
מונח זקף, זקף, זקף.
Very close. I'm like super impressed. I can barely remember back to Zakef Gadol, right? Zakef. So it's in that very home base oriented. So you have Zakef, Zakef.
פשטה, פשטה, מונח זקף, זקף, זקף.
Zakef. Yeah.
זקף. טיפחה מונחת נחתה.
Good, good. The Munachet Nachta was just right. Tipcha is a falling figure. Yes.
Tipacha munachet nachta.
Yeah, good.
Hmm.
Do you want to try the whole phrase again before Sharon
Yes.
goes? Okay.
Pashta munach zakef, Tipacha munachet nachta.
Yes. Nachon.
Mapach pashta munach katon merchatipcha silu
Yeah, silu.
silu.
And
Okay.
you even have the syllables to support it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
One thing too that I might hone for your munach, it's just more dramatic if you get all the way down. Munach zakeh.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let me think about that.
Yeah.
So, mapach pashta munach zakeh. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's, so I start with Zachar, right?
Yeah, but we're going to go
Zach.
back to the beginning because we haven't done any Hebrew yet.
Oh,
Now we're going to do the whole verse,
got
split
it.
between the two
Okay.
of you. All right, Becky.
אחר הדברים האלה כשוך עמד המלך אחשורוש
Zachar et vashti ve'et asher asata ve'et ve'et asher nigzar alecha.
Yeah. Whew. Good.
Whew, he's right.
Yeah. It is a lot. I mean, it's like doing push-ups. It
Mm.
really is. And the more you do the push-ups, the easier they get. It's like actually true. Oh. Takes me like 3 years to add one push-up to my push-up routine, but every 3 years I add one or two. Oh. So here we have some highlighted stuff, that stuff that we haven't studied together yet. So I will take care of that. Um, but otherwise, we can divide this into relatively equitably. How about this? Whoever takes this first chunk, um, oh, never mind. That's way too complicated.
I could take the first chunk and then the two words after the etnachta.
Okay, deal.
ויפקד המלך פקידים בכל מדינות מלכותו ויקבצו.
Et kol noora v'tula tovat mar'eh.
Sharon, you're muted.
Okay, is that better? Okay.
Mhm.
All right. El Shushan, Habira, El Beit, Hanashim, El Yad, Hege, is that Hege?
Yep, hege.
Okay. Serim Hamelech, Shomer, Hanashim, Venaton,
So you're going to give it
Hamud.
actually back to Becky there. Oops, sorry.
Up.
There we go. So Becky's going to
Oh,
pick up after the Etnachta again.
okay. Hanashim. Okay.
ונתון תמרוקיהן.
All right,
תמרוקיהן.
great. All right, so now Trop.
פשטה מונח. I don't remember the Pikiti. It's that minor.
Lala Zadaka. So this is this whole we're jumping in the minor now. Kadma.
Kadma Munach Pashta Munach Munach
Munach.
Segol
Almost. Munach
Segol
Sego. It's two little descending things. Sego.
Kadma Munach Pash Munach
Huh?
Kadma
Wait,
Munach.
I'm gonna stop you for a second and like get you anchored.
Yes, thank you.
So I'm gonna start by anchoring all of us just in a little bit of scale. Ay, 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 ay. Ay, 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 ay. So in this Kadma Munaf, we're just playing in the first 3 degrees of the scale. Ay, 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 Zadaka. Munaf Sego. And just go through the Segol. I should have really highlighted this too, because Vayik Batsu is part of all that.
Okay.
Okay.
Kadma Munach
Kadma.
Kadma Munach Zakar Munach Segol.
Yes. Yes. Take a breath. Yeah, good.
Mm, mm.
Vayikbetsu et oh sorry. Monach telisha kadma v'geresh.
Okay. Mapa pashta munach sego. All right, munach katon. Mecha tevir. Mecha tipcha. Munach et nafta. And then
Oh, I
Becky,
think
you do the
Becky
last
had to
two.
answer a phone call.
Oh, okay. Tipcha zilu. Is that
Good. Yeah.
her Hebrew is much stronger than mine,
She's
which is
got a wicked strong Hebrew. She comes with a lot of Hebrew.
yeah,
She's done a
and
lot
I
of
don't. Mm.
Mishnah and stuff already.
Oh wow.
I'm so sorry. I had 3 things going on at once.
Got it.
Okay.
Why don't we do that again? Actually, Sharon, can you just take us the Munach and Nachta, and then Becky, you can give us the Merchasi look.
Munach et nafta.
Mechasilu.
Except,
No, no,
sorry,
no.
I called it
Tipcha.
Mercha. I'm staring at a Tipcha. So
Tipcha. Right.
Tipcha.
Tipcha silu.
good. All right. So let's try putting it all together, and I'll orient us back into our funny minor on two. Ay, 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 Kadma, Munach, etc.
Padma Munach.
But we're be'ivrit this time.
Oh, you're gonna make it even more complicated. I
That's my job. That's my job.
ויפקד המלך פקידים בכל מדינות מלכותו.
Almost. בכל מדינות.
בכל מדינות מלכותו.
Yes. ויקבצו את כל נעוריו ותולה טובת מראה.
אל שושן הבירה, אל בית הנשים, אל יד הגר, זרים המלך, שומר הנשים.
ונתון תמרוקיהן.
So I'm gonna
תמרוקי.
ונתון.
ונתון תמרוקיהן.
So this is that siluk that joins, follows the same.
תמרוקיהן.
ונתון תמרוקי סילוק.
סילוק.
And it's that note-to-note
ונתון.
connection. That's
ונתון
ונתון,
תמרוק.
ונתון.
תמרוקיהן.
Yeah, yeah,
ונתון תמרוקיהן.
yes, yeah. Yeah. I think probably, Becky, one of the keys for you is going to be to, ironically, it's a little bit like Musar. If we have an anava problem, we need to hang out a lot with kavod. And probably your problem is not so much siluk, or one of the things that will help is getting really solid in the mercha tivcha.
I think you're right. Yes. Yes.
So spend some more time with that this week in your practice. And because that connection, once you get that note to note connection, when the tipcha is grounded, then it flows. Tipcha, silu, okay, right? But you throw yourself off when it's not quite grounded.
And for some reason, I keep wanting to chant natun when it's natun. V'naton tamruke v'natibahan silu v'naton tamrukehen.
And probably the reason for the word thing is that you're giving like 99% of your bandwidth to the music. So
Mm,
yeah, that.
If you notice just a few words before, you have a mercha tipcha. So if you can remember the tipcha from just Hambela, it's just you repeat the tipcha and 2 words later.
Saris hamelech shomer hanashim v'naton tamrukehen.
Yeah.
שומר הנשים ונתון תמרוקיהן.
Yeah, and good catch. Like you heard
Yes,
retrospect the Monach et Nachtan. I wasn't going to nitpick it right then because we were really dealing with that. And then you
right, but
heard it in your like rewind and caught it. So, all kavod. Nice.
it's painful to watch the recordings of these classes. It's not really, it's just embarrassing.
Mm. Well, I assure you that I don't think anybody else is embarrassed for you. I'm your cheer squad.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, I have to say, I've always been so in admiration, like actual admiration for people whose primary modality is not music, who
Hmm.
pursue musical endeavors. Like, we all know musicians can do music. This is not in question. And so, when someone like yourself, for whom music is not your primary endeavor, to engage the way that you do and as successfully as you do, actually, far from being embarrassing or anything for me, actually leaves me standing in admiration.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I can read music.
Amen.
I can pick out tunes on the piano,
Mhm.
but I'm in no way a musician.
And reading music vocally is a totally different. There are many, 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 shockingly many instrumental musicians, even professional, who can't read music vocally.
Yeah.
So that's one thing that I always like to remind people, like reading
Completely
music
different skill.
vocally is a whole other skill set that has to be learned really carefully and explicitly.
Mhm.
Yeah. Even for like pros. Mhm. All right. Pep talk over. Back to the bullpit, bullpen, whatever. um, all right. How do we want to divide this?
All right. I need to move because my computer's about to die. So why
Okay.
don't you take the first
I'll do
part
the
while
first
I
part then.
Okay.
plug in?
Great.
אשר הוגלה מירושלים עם הגולה אשר הוגלתה עם יחוניה מלך יהודה.
Great.
And then should I continue?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, hold on. Okay. Asher Hegla Nebuchadnezzar Melech Babel.
Great. Okay. Trope.
מהפך פשטה קטון.
There's a hidden munach here.
There it is. Yes.
There.
Okay. מהפך פשטה מונח קטון.
Munach katon.
מונח, right, מונח. מהפך פשטה מונח קטון. פשטה מונח קטון. טיפחה.
Tipacha.
Tipacha, you're right about that. If I get the tipcha right, the rest comes.
Yep.
Tipacha munachet nachta.
Munach. Check your munach at nachta.
Munach, munachet nachta.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Sharon, go ahead.
Um, Munach Katon Tipcha Mechasilut.
Yeah. Good. All right. בעברית.
Asher, asher hogla mi'Yerushalayim im hagola.
Im hagolah
Hagola
pashta.
im hagola. אשר הוגלתה עם יחוניה מלך יהודה.
Good.
Asher Hegla Nebuchadnezzar Melech Bavel.
Oh my God. Everybody earned a nap.
Oh my God.
Everybody earned your Shabbos shluff early. Your Wednesday Shabbos shluff.
Speaking of naps, I don't know if, hold on a second. Can you
Oh,
see it?
Oh.
doggy in the
Oh,
sun.
stretch.
Oh my God. That's the best. Wow.
Oh, my.
Nice.
Mm, mm, mm. No, I'll have to have my schluff tomorrow. After work today, I tutor my grandson and then I hurry home to teach a class. So, yeah. the wonderful thing is because of Zoom, there's less driving than there would be otherwise. So